Hi, it's me, the guy who moved to another country for 6 months and now has 3 roommates, so he has to record outside. Just be grateful that I'm making the video at all, okay? Following the success of HR Pufnstuf and the Bugaloos, Lidsville is the 3rd children's series created by Canadian puppeteers Sid and Marty Krofft. Consisting of one 17-episode season that was first broadcast in 1971 and 1972, the series follows a human teenager named Mark who finds himself stranded in, as the title suggests, a land of sentient head coverings. Him and the many friends he makes there try and get him home while also dealing with the power-hungry magician Hudo and his forces. So a lot of people commented on my retrospective of the Kroffts' previous show HR Pufnstuf that I should look at this one next. And given that that was my most viewed video, I decided that I'd take those suggestions because Season 2, Episode 23 of Wizards of Waverly Place prepared me from a young age that I might have to sell out as a creative person.
Let me tell you about an artist I know who makes a living drawing cheesy greeting cards. And let's say his name is, me. You know, when I draw that stuff, it tortures me deep inside my soul. And it hurts. But I use that pain to create all this down here.
Except instead of graffiti, my true creative passion is building unflattering sculptures of those who have wronged me out of Mega Blocks. Mega Blocks, not Legos, so stop sending me Legos, Aunt Harriet. Seriously though, it felt like the next logical step because my first introduction to the Kroffts' work as a kid was this VHS tape that I had that included episodes of Pufnstuf, Lidsville, and some other shows. I know I said in the HR Pufnstuf video that I first discovered that show on Netflix, but since then I found that old VHS tape and realized that I misremembered, okay? Listen, if Doctor Who can retcon their origin story by discovering that they had false memories, then so can I. But before I go through every single episode of this show, since this is Lidsville, I thought that I might, say what you want about me, but you cannot say that I don't respect a good theme. Also, I'm gonna be recording this across several days, so you know, the shot's probably gonna change, my clothes might change. I'm admitting it, so you don't need to comment about it like you caught me in a lie. How about instead you just leave a normal YouTube comment, like an attempt to convert me to your religion or speculation about my sexuality. All right, without further ado, here we go. Lidsville, baby! Episode 1, World in a Hat. Like with HR Pufnstuf, the intro to every episode of Lidsville provides us with some backstory. We're told of the teenage Mark, played by Butch Patrick.
There began a great adventure for a boy whose name was Mark,
who prior to this actually played Eddie in the original Munsters. After seeing a magician perform at a theme park, Mark sneaks backstage to find the magician's hat, which miraculously grows large enough for him to climb inside of. He then falls in front of a variety of trippy imagery before landing in a new, colorful realm. Then we get the chorus that I got this video's title from.
Lidsville is the Kookiest, Lidsville is the Kickiest, Lidsville is the Grooviest, Lidsville is a living and friend.
Then, in the episode itself, shortly after touching down in this new world, Mark is seized by 4 of its inhabitants. Mr. Big, who's a fedora that talks like a gangster.
Button your lip, punk, and start walking.
Captain Hooknose, who is a pirate.
The mighty Hudo will deal with you, you spy.
Boris the Executioner's hood, and Bella the Top Hat. Presumably named as such because he's doing an impression of Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
Let's have a bite together. Blah, blah.
Now, some of this show's costume performers are credited as the that outdated term for little people, who were apparently a performing troupe of little people that toured the US throughout the 40s before going into movies and television. I wonder if them and Butch Patrick got along while making this. You know, I wrote that as a joke, but then I found this interview with Butch Patrick that reveals apparently they did.
The little people who are my friends, because as a child actor growing up, they never hire other kids to be your stand-in, so you're always around small people, dwarfs, little people, whatever you want to call them, and you get to know them.
Anyway, they then bring Mark to a nearby top hat-shaped fortress where we meet a character named Raunchy Rabbit. And I can only assume he's named that because he has a stand-up special where he really takes the gloves off. He says what everyone's thinking, but is too afraid of getting canceled by the woke mob to actually say. Don't want to spoil anything, but he has some hilarious material on pronouns. But really, he seems to basically just be this show's version of the character Stupid Bat from HR Pufnstuf.
Well, aren't you gonna ask me how I enjoyed my trip? I am right side up. You're upside down.
The main villain of the series and the boss of all these characters, Horatio J. Hudo, then arrives in a flying top hat that he shrinks down to wear.
Who in haberdashery is that? He's a funny-looking weird freak we caught out by the Derby Dunes.
Stilgar introducing Paul Atreides to the rest of the Fremen? That's a little Dune joke there for you. If you had to guess whether or not women ever approached me, what would you say? Hudo's played by the late Charles Nelson Reilly, who actually had a long, illustrious television career, but I most recognized him as the voice of the Dirty Bubble on SpongeBob.
You cannot save them, sponge of mystery. They are trapped by my awesome surface tension.
But with the introduction of this character, it's time to enter everybody's favorite segment. A lengthy personal anecdote that you don't care about that I'm going to include anyway. So I remember as a young child making up a character that I called American Hudo. I don't really know what his deal was, just that he wore the clothes of Aladdin and had green skin. I was a strange and lonely child. And he was specifically the American Hudo because I made up a theme song for him that shamelessly plagiarized the theme song to the Disney series American Dragon Jake Long. American Hudo. American Hudo. And now rewatching Lidsville, which I know I saw at least one episode of as a child, I realized this character is probably where I got that name from, as well as maybe his green skin. Anyway, this has been a lengthy personal anecdote that you don't care about that I'm going to include anyway. Despite Mark swearing he arrived there by accident, Hudo believes him to be a spy, and has him taken inside the fortress, where many of Hudo's belongings greet them.
Hiya, boss! Hiya, boss! Welcome! Welcome!
That one makes me uncomfortable. Like, I get the feeling that if it talked, it would sound like the East Wind from HR Pufnstuf.
Oh, so, East Wind here.
Man, if you're watching this without seeing my video on HR Pufnstuf, I must sound like an insane person. Whereas if you have seen that video, I sound, you know, completely normal. Also, these book puppets and this skull look exactly like the ones at Dr. Blinky's house in HR Pufnstuf. Hudo asks Mark why the Hat people are refusing to pay him taxes. And after Mark swears he doesn't know, Hudo shows him something on a device called the Evil Eye.
Tune in downtown Lidsville. It's a whole city of hats.
Mark's already interacted with like 4 hat people. Why does he sound more shocked to discover they have their own city than that they exist?
It's a whole city of hats.
Talking is one thing, but operating a small local government, I don't believe it. Not believing Mark, Hudo rubs his ring, which summons the character of Weenie Genie.
You summon me, oh great charlatan? Oh, wise and magnificent despot?
Who's played by Billy Hayes, who was previously Witchy Poo on HR Pufnstuf.
If you're elected, what do you intend to do for the little man?
Get him a little woman!
And I'm seriously glad to see her back because her performance was a highlight of that show. But I'm also glad that she's a different character in this so that we're able to see her range. Also, the character of Weenie uses he/him pronouns despite being played by a woman, so that's pretty cool, I guess. I want to give this show some credit before some less progressive stuff that it does later. He orders Weenie to take Mark down to the dungeon where the two of them have a heart-to-heart.
If I hadn't stayed looking at that stupid magician's hat, I wouldn't have fallen into this awful place. I'd be in the real world up there.
What real world?
Where I come from, where my mother is, and my house, and all my friends.
You mean there really is such a place? Away from Lidsville?
That's gonna be me when I'm halfway through editing this video. The pair decide to work together to steal Hudo's ring so Weenie can be freed and return to the real world with Mark. Meanwhile, Hudo has the idea to punish the Hats for not paying their taxes with bad weather, so he conjures up a weather machine.
Could I mess up the 6 o'clock news with this little doll?
He removes his ring to perform a ritual, but gets distracted after Raunchy Rabbit opens the snow drawer, allowing Weenie and Mark to sneak away.
Oh, you're gonna get it! This place looks like a Christmas card!
Wait, Christmas exists in this world? Meaning that Jesus also did. What hat do you think he was? Perhaps a sentient crown of thorns? Anyway, right before being apprehended by Hudo, Weenie teleports himself and Mark away, but they reappear dangling over a cliff. They call for help and are heard by the citizens of Lidsville. And there are a lot of them, so let's run through them quick. Nursey, who's a nurse's hat.
Oh, somebody's shouting for help!
Rah-Rah, who's a football helmet.
I heard them.
Admiral Scuttle, who's a pirate like Captain Hooknose, but a good guy.
All hands on deck.
Scorchy, who's not a hat, but a fire hydrant wearing a fireman's hat.
Alarm! Alarm!
Tex, a cowboy hat that sounds like John Wayne.
It's a coming from over that-a-way.
Hiram, the farmer's hat.
Somebody's in a mess of trouble.
Madam Ring-a-Ding, the party hat.
Where's the party?
Tonsilini, who's a top hat and opera singer.
This is awful. If they fall in, they will drown.
Pierre Lesueur, who wears the town's beret-shaped manhole cover and is stereotypically French.
There is only one way. Twirly can save them. Hurry!
Then, like in HR Pufnstuf, there are some characters that, let's just say, would probably go the way of Speedy Gonzales if they were to reboot this show now. Those being Big Chief Sitting Duck, who's part top hat, part Native American headdress.
Oh, heap thanks, Pierre Lesueur.
And Mr. Chow.
Please do tell humble self.
And I don't know what it is, but something tells me he wasn't voiced by an actual Asian person. There's also Colonel Poom, their leader, who's an English safari hat.
I say, there are a couple of strange-looking chaps hanging over the Shampoo River.
And Twirly.
What is it? What's wrong? Hey, tell me, what's wrong?
A propeller hat that flies over and rescues Mark and Weenie. Back in town, Mark explains how him and Weenie are trying to get home, and enlists the help of Mother Wheels, an elderly motorcycle helmet, to do so.
Meet Mother Wheels.
Hi, put a chopper in your hopper, honey.
An old lady riding a motorcycle? I thought that they could just knit sweaters and write not safe for work self-insert fan fiction about Paul McCartney and continue to do so even after their husband says it makes him uncomfortable. Or maybe that's just my grandma. Anyway, Madam Big Wheels takes Weenie, who resides inside the ring, and Mark away. Meanwhile, Hudo asks for his phone, which is called the Hot Hat Line.
Here you go. Oh, burn skull.
Shut up! Which I have to point out is a gag they reused from the Pufnstuf movie. He calls on the evil hats to capture them.
What do you want from us?
You'll find out.
They get away and return to town, but it's not long before Hudo himself arrives in his flying top hat. The hats, however, retaliate by throwing things at him and eventually shooting him with a cannon, knocking him into the Shampoo River.
I'll get that rotten brat and those rotten hats if it's the last thou.
Colonel Poom then assures Mark that he can try getting home another day, and the episode ends.
I'd take my hat off to you. If I had one.
We're glad to see you.
Then, in the song that's played over the credits, some information is divulged that fundamentally changes everything I thought I knew about this world.
Everybody there wears a hat.
Everybody there wears a hat? So they're not hats. They're all just wearing giant hats. What do you think they look like under the hats then? But then another lyric calls them living hats.
The land of living hats, that's Lidsville. Boop, boop.
So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what these beings are. I'm gonna be honest, so far this isn't quite reaching Pufnstuf levels of enjoyment for me. Not only is it really similar to that series, but there are also way more characters, so I didn't feel I had the time to get to like any of them as much. But luckily that can still change because there are 16 episodes left. You know, people invited me out tonight, but I said no because I had to film my Lidsville video. Episode 2, Show Me the Way to Go Home. Colonel Poom comes to Mark with a map leading to a golden ladder in the sky that might be able to take him home.
Picked up this little blighter on my travels among the Newbie tribe. Knew their witch doctor when he was only an intern.
So they embark with Weenie on a safari to look for it. Meanwhile, Hudo discovers they're escaping and again calls on the Bad Hats for help.
Bad Hats Incorporated, Mr. Big Talkin'. Save yourself all the fuss. Leave the foul play to us.
Well, you cut the commercial, Slimy. Now listen.
Who confront Mark, Weenie, and Poom in the wilderness.
Blimey!
It's the Bad Hat.
And poison.
Well, in hat. They manage to fight them off and flee, but it means they have to ditch the map.
Get me up! Get me up! We gotta catch him!
I like to imagine that was just footage of the performers struggling to stand in the hat costumes, but they added voiceover to make it part of the episode. Disappointed with their failure, Hudo appears and says he'll go reclaim Weenie himself. So he gets in his flying hat and starts shooting at the trio, forcing them into an area called the Hair Forest.
Gad, it's the hair forest! We blundered into the hair forest!
So we had the Shampoo River in episode 1, and now we have the Hair Forest. I'm really curious to see how far they're gonna be able to stretch this idea of a head-themed world with 15 more episodes, because I feel that the well, or should I say, the scalp, is already getting pretty dry. Hey, get them some head and shoulders over here. After seeing someone who never made it out of the Hair Forest alive, they avoid being grabbed by the surrounding trees.
Hair racing experience, but this is the topper!
Who I'm pretty sure are the evil tree costumes from HR Pufnstuf recycled. Assuming them to be lost in the woods forever, Hudo plans to take the opportunity to attack the rest of Lidsville's citizens.
What is the worst thing you can do to a hat?
Probably to have it become associated primarily with a hate group.
Crush it! I'm gonna flatten their funky fedoras, squash the fuzz out of them, break their brims, and stomp them into oblivion!
Right, yeah, that makes a lot more sense for a children's show.
Give it to him, Weenie!
Back in town, the others are concerned that Poom has been gone for so long.
I guess they can't find Colonel Poom, and he should have been back long ago.
Maybe Colonel Poom go up golden rat.
Yeah, Mr. Chow. They got it. Hudo then shows up grown to a giant size. And the shot preceding the reveal is weirdly long. Watch.
Oh my goodness!
I don't even
Oh my goodness, look, it's a big fella. I wonder what he is. He looks like some kind of a giant.
And he looks just like Hudo.
Luckily, Mark sees this from atop a mountain and abandons finding the Golden Ladder home to go save them.
Come on, we've got to help them.
But Master, what about the Golden Ladder? You could be home soon and I can meet your folks and...
We can't run out on our friends when they're in trouble.
Wow, Weenie was ready to let everyone in Lidsville die just now. That's crazy. I'm not gonna forget about that. It's then revealed for some reason that the giant Hudo is actually just a mech he's piloting.
If those dum-dums knew it was little me in here, they'd die.
I wonder why. Did they think that him actually growing to a giant size would be too difficult to believe on the show Lidsville? Also, I love that he has a specific outfit just for piloting the mech. Mark arrives with the others and uses Big Chief Sitting Duck's bow and arrow to puncture and deflate the mech. So I guess it was like a balloon. Okay.
It's Hudo. He was inside the giant.
That could be, will ya?
That man's body is fully covered. Did they not have enough green paint to actually show him in his undies? Hudo flees embarrassed, and then Mark and Weenie sing a song. Okay, so this show does apparently have songs beyond the theme song, which we're just discovering now at the end of episode 2. I wish I could say they were starting with a good one, but...
The world is filled with ladders. You find them all the time.
The only trouble is ladders are like hills you've got to climb.
All right, but even though they didn't find the Golden Ladder in this episode, there's no reason that they can't go looking for it again, so I'm sure it'll be brought up in the future as a way for Mark to get home, right? Right? Episode 3. Fly now, vacuum later. So Weenie is trying to conjure a magic carpet for him and Mark to return home, but is struggling.
Oh, that not carpet.
bet you have a hard time frying on that.
Jeez, do they always have to have those two talk right next to each other? It's like a 1-2 punch of white guilt. Meanwhile, at Hudo's, he's concerned about Mark stirring up rebellion within the Hats. So, like clockwork, he contacts the Bad Hats who come over to pitch ideas as to how to capture Mark. Then, back in town, Weenie finally remembers the right spell to conjure the carpet.
Whoa, boy! Whoa! Whoa, boy!
Hudo sees Mark take off, and realizing he can seize this opportunity to capture him, sings about how great it is to be evil. And it's not bad.
Tickled I get when I hear people weeping. I'd love to hold their noses tight whenever they are sleeping. I always stick my foot out when I see a person leaping. It's so much fun being rotten.
Hudo goes to where Mark is flying and attempts to
blow that piece of junk out of the sky!
Mark evades him until Hudo conjures a large vacuum that sucks Mark up.
Help! Help!
What am I watching? Back at Hudo's fortress, where Mark is being interrogated about the location of Weenie's ring, it's revealed that Hudo's henchmen all want to eat Mark.
Why saw him in half when you can slice him?
Don't be greedy. I'm hungrier than you.
A nibble, boss. Just one little nibble. Roast him. Toast him.
So that's some new lore. They eat people. Back in town, the citizens of Lidsville worry about Mark.
We have to help him. After all, look how many times he helped us.
Once? Unless between episodes he did something helpful, like not saying anything after he walked in on Tex giving Twirly the old, tip of the hat, if you know what I'm saying. Stupid. What am I doing?
I got it. I could run in and do my best play. The old double reverse end around hidden boy trick.
Can anybody tell me what Taylor sees in this guy? Anyway, Rah-Rah thinks he can rescue Mark, so him and Mother Wheels head to Hudo's fortress.
Another rescue committee, how sweet. I should greet them personally, but instead, I'll let my fingers do the talking.
Me on my 4th hinge date with someone? So Hudo knocks them off the bike and decides to make Mark walk the plank atop his fortress. Just when it seems he's going to succeed, however, Weenie swoops in on the magic carpet, saving Mark before unfortunately vanishing the carpet and killing them both. Episode 4, Weenie Weenie Where's Our Genie? At a town meeting, the gang is brainstorming how to protect themselves from Hudo. Weenie has an idea and conjures a realistic gun, which is kind of surreal to see in this otherwise cartoony world, but it turns out to just be a prank gun.
Nice try, Weenie, but why don't you just sit down and relax and let's see what other ideas we have.
Yeah, Weenie, stop horsing around. We got big problems.
Yeah, I'm with the talking cowboy hat. Let's be serious here, okay? So, Mr. Chow has an idea.
That give me crazy idea.
To build a pepper bomb that'll make Hudo sneeze himself out of the sky. Man, they're really out to murder their oppressor. And I respect it. But Weenie, feeling neglected and unwanted, runs away, even singing a mid-song about it.
They think I'm dumb. I'll show 'em my day will come. I'll show 'em.
Back in town, after accidentally using all of their pepper on a test, they can't defend themselves when Hudo shows up, and he's able to steal back his ring from Mark.
He got him ring.
Weenie's gonna be his slave again.
Wow, we're using the slave word. That would mean Weenie is also enslaved by Mark when he's in possession of the ring, right? But that's okay because Mark is kind to his slave, so we're not taking him off the $1 bill. But when Hudo tries to summon Weenie and can't, he gets angry and, naturally, shrinks down and captures Nursey and Scorchy.
Oh, you don't see this every day.
So they didn't think we could buy him growing giant in episode 2, even though he shrinks down and captures people in this one? It doesn't matter. He says if Weenie isn't returned to him in 1 hour, he'll steam them?
And if I don't hear from you in 1 hour, I shall personally have these 2 adorable little hats blocked and steamed.
I don't know. Maybe I should ask that guy. Maybe I should ask him what Hudo's gonna do to the hats.
Now, I'm gonna try the ring once more.
Hollywood deciding to make a sequel to The Ring? But now, because Weenie doesn't have his earmuffs on, it works.
Where are you going, slave?
Hudo tries commanding Weenie to throw Mark in the fire, but he puts his earmuffs on and is able to ignore the command. Then, out of anger, Hudo's about to turn everyone into toads. But Weenie places a mirror in front of him and he does it to himself.
Jumping sagebrush. The varmint zapped himself.
He turned himself into a frog.
Okay guys, now kill that frog. You were ready to kill him at the beginning of the episode, so what's different now? Now's your chance. Do it, you cowards. Step on him. Episode 5. Let's hear it for Wizo. This one opens with Mark and Weenie apparently having left for the real world with the help of a map they got from... Big Chief Sitting Duck.
I'm just a-hoping that Indian trail map you gave him, Chief, don't turn out to be a bum steer.
Oh, not a bum steer. All Indian legends say trail lead to land of sky blue smog and heat big traffic jam.
Oh, Hudo flip red when he find out Mark and Weenie gone.
Stop always putting them together. Hudo then shows up demanding the hats hand Mark and Weenie over, but after discovering they've escaped, he evicts them? Which I guess is something he can do?
You can't throw us out.
It's not legal.
Not legal. It just so happens that you haven't paid your back taxes. So I, the great Hudo, am foreclosing. How's that for legal?
How does this government work? So he forces them out.
I am such a meanie.
Anyway, Mark and Weenie, who got lost, returned to Lidsville to find it empty apart from Hudo and his cronies planning to resell the houses. They leave to find the hats now residing near a poison swamp. Mark has the idea to fool Hudo by disguising himself as a rival magician named the Great Wizo, who kind of looks like Eddie Munster. I wonder if that was intentional. Dressed as Wizo, Mark comes face to face with Hudo.
So I'll make it easy for you. Get out of Lidsville and I'll let you go in one piece.
He challenges Hudo to a magic competition the next day, where the Lids help Mark appear to have powers.
Wizo! Tally-ho!
Feeling cheated, Hudo sicks the bad hats on Mark.
Attack! Attack!
Back, I say, or I'll turn you all into turtles.
Well, what's so terrible about being a turtle? Grab it! Grab it!
With the help of fireworks, Mark makes it appear that Hudo's fortress is on fire, causing him and the bad hats to flee. I guess allowing the Lids to move back into town? I don't know, the rest of the episode doesn't address it. Episode 6. Is there a mayor in this house? Mark and the Lids are discussing a rebellion against Hudo.
What we need is a leader. Someone we all respect, like
Jesus?
a mayor.
Oh, right.
How about me? I always know what's cooking.
You only chef. I, Big Chief.
The fact that those two are always together makes me think they realized they had something in common. You know what? I'm gonna start a counter for every time they speak next to each other.
What about me? You know, women's lib.
A female mayor? Never!
Okay, Colonel Poom is a misogynist, I guess. Add that to the lore Bible. Discovering their plan to elect a mayor, Hudo convinces Mr. Big to run with an absolutely nothing song.
You can make a lot of promises that afterwards renege, Mr. Big. You can say you want to help them, though you really don't give a fig, Mr. Big.
I gotta say, so far, the songs in this are really paling in comparison to the ones in Pufnstuf. Meanwhile, in town, it seems everyone's running their own campaign for mayor when Hudo shows up to advertise Mr. Big as a candidate, but Mark is suspicious.
This is an open honest election.
Because there's a Viking hat that will not hesitate to storm the Lidsville capital if not. Mr. Biggs makes a speech full of impossible promises.
I promise to raise wages, lower taxes, and give you all a 6-day weekend!
And after he leaves, the Lids, recognizing him as a fraud, realize they have to put forward a worthy candidate of their own to beat him.
We got more candidates than can shake 'em tomahawk at.
Have to pick one from column A and two from column B.
Tex throws himself in the ring. I'm surprised the show itself didn't make that joke. But then on election day, Hudo magically forces everyone to raise their hands and vote for Mr. Big. So he's elected mayor, but after Mark and Weenie overhear him planning to go behind Hudo's back and get rich off his new position,
the first thing we're gonna do is raise money for ourselves with the new freeway tax.
But there aren't any cars in Lidsville.
Yeah, how about that?
Mark reveals to the Lids a plan involving a spot-on Mr. Big impression he conveniently can suddenly do.
Okay, you punks, here's the first thing we gotta do.
Hey, Master, you sound just like Mr. Big.
That's the plan.
Oh my god, he's gonna record himself saying slurs in Mr. Big's voice, isn't he? No, he calls Hudo from Mr. Big's phone and disrespects him.
The only thing that's had it's your house. The new freeway is going through it, so you've got 24 seconds to pack your bags and scram, big nose.
What happened to all those other charming names you used to call me? Like Schnook, Creep, Dummy, and Big Nose.
Big Nose? I never called you that, boss. You got a cute little nose, just like a butt.
You know, I like to think Biggs actually meant that, but Hudo furiously chases him out of town and the episode ends.
Hey, you boss! Ow! Ow!
I'll take care of you, dummy!
Wait, hold on, boss, please!
So who's the mayor now? I don't know. Episode 7. Take Me to Your Rabbit. Mark, Weenie, and the Lids are constructing a nuclear warhead to shoot at Hudo's fortress. No, I'm kidding. It's a rocket for Mark to escape home.
Well, I fell down into Lidsville, so up must be the way out. It's a long shot, but I have to give it a try.
Meanwhile, after being struck by lightning in the hat ship, Hudo's magical powers somehow get transferred to Raunchy Rabbit.
Oh, I've lost my zap.
No, boss, you couldn't have. All you have to do to fix the Hatamaran is to go like this.
Hudo figures the only way to get his powers back is via a finger transplant.
Jack, get the doctor.
But we don't have a doctor around here.
What about that nurse over in Lidsville?
The nurse, of course. Juicy, keep up the good work and I'll turn you into a 4.
Pretty sure that nurses aren't qualified for such an advanced operation, but Hudo tasks the Bad Hats to capture Nursey and bring her back to the fortress. After she refuses to perform the transplant, Hudo tells Raunchy Rabbit to take her to the dungeon. But now that he's the one with the powers, it turns out that
the hierarchy of power in the
Lidsville
universe is about to change.
And he starts to order Hudo around.
Yeah, you throw her in the dungeon, idiot.
So Hudo puts Nursey in the dungeon.
You should get out more. You look terrible.
But accidentally leaves the door open, allowing her to escape. She returns to town, informing the others that Raunchy Rabbit is now the one with powers, which gives Mark an idea. Later, they show up at the fortress throwing Raunchy Rabbit a parade.
Gosh, they want me. I must answer the call of the people.
I could just scream.
Same. Not because of anything to do with this episode, I have a lot going on. They hail Raunchy as their new leader, causing him to go mad with power and banish Hudo.
Scram, you short-eared freak. I never want to see your face in Lidsville again.
But later, Hudo is able to regain entry into the fortress by dressing as a really unnerving woman rabbit.
My name is Funnykins with 2 N's.
Where he switches the moonlight and lightning labels on the weather cupboard thing from episode 1.
Can I whisper this in your ear? Moonlight turns me on.
so they're electrocuted, giving Hudo his powers back.
It worked! It worked! I've got it! My zap is back!
He then goes to town where everyone is celebrating his banishment and begins attacking them.
Put this in your hat!
You might want to be more careful with your hand gestures there, Hudo. Anyway, he destroys the rocket, everyone runs away, and the episode just kinda ends.
I just love happy endings.
Episode 8, Have I Got a Girl for Hudo? So the episode opens with Hudo feeling lonely and depressed.
Spring is here, and here I am, handsome, debonair, and in the prime of life. And who have I got sitting in my jump seat? A moth-eaten rabbit!
So he writes to a mail-in dating service which he sends via airmail.
Go, go, my messenger of love!
He then catches Mark trying to steal his ship to get home. And I guess the ship is called the Hatamaran?
How dare you hijack my Hatamaran, you sneaky little brat!
If they called it that before, I didn't catch it, and I'm not going back in my script to change it, so it's the Hatamaran now. You know that. He takes Mark inside and is about to torture him when he hears back from the dating service, who inform him that he's been matched with a woman named Gladys Glamourpuss, who will arrive at his location the following day to introduce herself. In town, everyone is worried about Mark when he shows up, saying that Hudo actually let him go due to being so happy about Gladys, but they don't believe it.
That bloody rotter! I would never turn you loose in one piece!
Anyway, they spot Hudo's match arriving, and I am so happy to report that it's not Gladys Glamourpuss.
Whack my wicket, what's that?
I'm coming, lover boy!
That's right, it's Witchy Poo, the antagonist from HR Pufnstuf. Billie Hayes reprises her role while still portraying Weenie, which they surprisingly never make a meta joke about. She arrives at Hudo's where he's disappointed to find she looks nothing like her picture.
But you're not Gladys Glamourpuss, you old bag.
That's my pen name. My real name is Wilhelmina W. Witchipoo. It's a lot sexier.
Sexier? You're about as sexy as a plucked vulture. Now listen.
But it turns out he used a fake photo as well. Despite both of their disappointments, Hudo still invites her inside for a drink.
I am personally going to sue that Lonely Hearts Club for sending a lemon like you.
What do you mean, lemon?
You heard it.
I don't know what it is, but that little "you heard it" from Hudo is like the funniest moment in the show so far for me.
You heard it.
Fearing Hudo will turn mean again if he's no longer in love, Mark and the Lids try getting him and Witchy Poo in the mood from outside the fortress, but are caught. However, after bonding over attacking the Lids with magic, the two begin falling for each other.
Let's find some romantic spot and park.
On our first date.
You heard it, baby.
Oh, Moody, I'm not that kind of a girl.
Ew, great. Now I'm picturing them doing it. They even sing about their love.
More than icky Mary Poppins love to fly. I love you more, I love you more, I love you more.
Crazy that the Mary Poppins movie only came out 7 years before this. Like, Ready Player One is as old to us as Mary Poppins was to them. Due to the increased attacks from their pairing, Mark and the Lids now agree they need to break the two up. So Mark has the idea to dress up as a woman competing for Hudo's attention. And much like the pronoun song in HR Pufnstuf, this whole premise of Mark dressing up as a woman aged a lot better than you might expect. Like, only Weenie briefly pokes fun at Mark.
You, mister? A lady?
Which I think was more of a meta joke about the fact that Weenie was a male character played by a woman. Also, Mark isn't at all embarrassed or uncomfortable taking on this character. In fact, he really gets into it.
Where have I been? Oh, you little devil. As if you could ever forget your little lovey-dovey.
After Hudo suggests to Witchy Poo that they explore ethical non-monogamy...
Well, it wouldn't be fair to waste all this charm and these good looks on just one person now, would it?
She begins to cry as she wanted Hudo to take her to the witch's ball. And I'm not gonna lie, what happens next got me embarrassingly excited.
Well, if a date is all you want, Witchy Poo, I know a perfect guy. I can fix you up. Oh, just watch.
Pufnstuf!
Howdy, ma'am.
Can you blame me? The guy made me like $400 in ad revenue. Anyway, Witchy Poo begrudgingly leaves with Pufnstuf to the ball.
But I keep telling you, ma'am, I can't dance.
Well, you're gonna dance, because I'm taking you to that ball, so shut up!
Then, when Hudo goes to where Lovey-Dovey said to meet him, he finds a note saying she changed her mind and is heartbroken. Mark and the Lids celebrate, and the episode ends.
I hope I don't catch it from women's lip.
Episode 9, Mark and the Beanstalk. In an attempt to escape Lidsville, Weenie conjures a magic bean that grows a beanstalk that Mark and him begin climbing. Meanwhile, Hudo realizes he's run out of money due to the Lids not paying their taxes, and after seeing Mark on the beanstalk, captures him and Weenie by briefly turning them into a butterfly.
Sailing along with butterfly wings.
Back at the fortress, he explains he'll release them only after the Lids pay a ransom.
Ransom money? Please, Mr. Hudo, let us go, and we'll get out of your hair. We'll climb back up the beanstalk to the real world.
To the real world? I don't know what you're talking about. There is only one real world, and you are in it. That's Lidsville.
I just know that line is gonna hit real hard while I'm editing this.
Yup.
After being shown pictures of Mark's parents, Hudo has the idea to climb the beanstalk into the real world to make them pay the ransom money, even disguising himself as Mark so that the Lids don't stop him.
Ooh, I'm seeing double!
You look just like me.
Correct. And when your hat friends see me, they won't stop me from climbing the beanstalk because they'll think I'm you. I'm so fantastic.
His plan works and he begins climbing while the real Mark watches from the fortress.
Boy, look at me go. I mean him.
Also, those jeans aren't doing my ass any favors. Mark has the idea to impersonate Hudo and tell the bad hats to chop the beanstalk down.
That brat Mark is escaping up the beanstalk. I want you to chop him down. That is an order.
They go to town to do so, but the Lids, thinking it's the real Mark up there, try to fight them off.
You'll get her back in one piece.
Partway through this journey, Hudo returns to his true form.
Now I'm back to adorable, charming me. Aren't I gorgeous for 26? So I lied a little.
Before continuing to climb out of Lidsville, eventually emerging from the magician's hat from the intro, which is now floating over the Empire State Building for some reason.
It's so big, and it's so beautiful, and it is so ripe. Just think a whole world out there waiting for me to conquer it.
But at that very moment, the bad hats succeed in chopping down the stalk, toppling Hudo to the ground and crushing his fortress so that Weenie and Mark can escape.
My house, my new world, I've lost everything.
Me after accidentally deleting my Minecraft save file. Episode 10, Turn in Your Turban, You're Through, which is just the title. If you're currently wearing a turban, by all means keep it on. I have no problem with it. Mark is looking through a telescope for a way out of Lidsville.
If there's a way in, there has to be a way out.
Clearly Mark has never been to an IKEA, okay? When he spots an elderly human woman.
She's from my world. And she's very old. I better go to her.
Man, Mark has been away from his world for so long that even an elderly human woman excites him. He's just glad she showed up when she did because he was starting to consider Madame Ring-a-Ding as an option. He didn't know where her parts were, but he was willing to search. Mark goes to help her, but it's revealed the woman is just Hudo, who captures him and takes the ring, gaining control over Weenie once more. He immediately begins ordering Weenie around again.
I want you to get the eye wash and clean out the evil eye.
Yes, sire! Clean out the evil eye immediately! Fee-fo-fi! I need stuff to clean the eye!
Spot remover for an eye?
I thought you said tie.
Oh, no you didn't. You said I.
I need stuff to clean the eye!
After realizing Weenie can't accomplish anything without Mark's help, Hudo has the idea to transfer the genie powers to Mark, making Weenie immortal and Mark subservient.
Can I get anything for my master's comfort? A reclining chair?
Oh.
Perhaps your Playhat magazine?
Listen, Hudo only reads Playhat for the articles, okay? Also, doesn't that name imply that the pictures are of hats, meaning Hudo's sexually attracted to hats? Sure, okay. After realizing Mark can fulfill all his needs, Hudo fires his other henchmen.
You heard me fired, canned. I don't need you anymore, so scram!
Hollywood to child actors the moment after their first voice crack. He has them thrown out before sending Mark to collect the taxes from the Lids. They're excited to see him before realizing he's mean now.
Knock it off,
It was a slur. Mark then leaves before Weenie shows up to explain what happened. Then both the Lids and the unemployed Bad Hats conspire separately to swipe Hudo's ring and free Mark. The Lids and Weenie are the first to succeed, knocking Hudo out with a dart and replacing his ring with a fake. They temporarily make Rah-Rah Mark's master, who commands him to transfer the genie power back to Weenie. But unfortunately,
I am under Hudo's spell. Hudo spoke the words that switched us, and only he can unspeak them.
So instead, he commands Mark to be so stupid that Hudo will want to be rid of him. Mark then starts a podcast where he debates Instagram models about feminism. Kidding. Angry with Mark's incompetence, Hudo transfers the powers back to Weenie. Him and Mark then run off with the real ring, and then the Bad Hats just kind of tackle Hudo. I don't really know why.
Get to him!
Episode 11, Alias, the Imperial Wizard. Hudo gets a call on his hot hat line from someone called the Imperial Wizard, who I'm like 99% sure has the same voice actor as Mr. Biggs because it's the same voice.
Hey, the boss is back, and you guys are supposed to have the joint clean. Oh, yeah, and for your sake, it better be right on.
Anyway, Hudo is told the wizard is showing up later that day for an inspection tour. So he orders his henchmen to clean the place.
I want this place clean enough to eat off the floor.
Ain't that the way we always eat?
And I'm just saying, so far, this plot is sounding pretty similar to episode 14 of HR Pufnstuf, The Visiting Witch.
Calm down, he says. The commander-in-chief of all witchdom is coming here for the first time, and he says, calm down!
I'll reserve judgment until it's over, but things are not looking good. Could you imagine if episodes from two children's shows with the same creators had similar plots? The horror. Back in town, it's Weenie's 1600th birthday. And this was before Happy Birthday became public domain, so everybody sings him an original birthday song that's really weird and bad.
Have a happy sweet 1600. It's your day today.
Then at the fortress, Hudo continues preparations for the Imperial Wizard.
Oh, Mr. Big, is the guest list ready, please?
Here, boss.
Well, this is a blank piece of paper.
Well, you said to write down the names of all your friends. That's all we could think of.
Well, at least Hudo has his subscribers. Worried the Imperial Wizard will be bored, Hudo has the idea to capture some of the Lids who are always having fun and force them to plan the party. So he goes to town and teleports Madame Ring-a-Ding, Tonsalini, and Mr. Chow to his fortress for the festivities. There's then a really unfortunate racist joke that I don't even really understand.
Hey, why you bring me here, Mr. Hudo?
Certainly not to play ping pong. Start making with your delicious menu. Delicious.
And then he calls Mr. Chow Charlie Chan, who's like a fictional Asian detective from books and movies.
Perhaps others besides judge and district attorney have similar feeling.
Oh, Raunchy, show this half-pint Charlie Chan where the kitchen is.
Does a version of Charlie Chan exist in Lidsville that Hudo could identify as the same hat ethnicity as Mr. Chow? They then get a call from the Imperial Wizard's secretary.
It's a female, boss.
Someone's been spending too much time on Reddit. She informs Hudo that the Imperial Wizard has to cancel on account of having a cold.
His Highness has a cold and has been ordered to bed by his doctor.
Which doctor?
Is there any other kind?
But Hudo realizes he likes having the Lids around waiting on him, so he decides to enslave them.
I am making you my slaves forever.
Luckily, Weenie and Mark had been listening to all this at the window, and back in town, Mark suggests he disguises himself as the Imperial Wizard to trick Hudo and rescue the captives. Man, this is like the third time Mark has suggested disguising himself. He must really enjoy it. Also, Mark can do a perfect impression of the Imperial Wizard.
I am the Imperial Wizard!
Very good, Master.
Which makes sense because he can also canonically do a perfect impression of Mr. Biggs.
Okay, you punks. Here's the first thing we gotta do.
So Mark goes in dressed as the Imperial Wizard and frees the others, right before his disguise comes off, but they all still escape. Then the real Imperial Wizard shows up, and assuming it to be Mark again, Hudo disrespects him.
You're not gonna pull that bit again. You're dumber than I thought. I've got you, stupid.
Who are you calling stupid?
Episode 12. A little hoodoo goes a long way. Hoodoo orders the Bad Hats to clean up their domicile.
You want us to do housework?
Sorry, that ain't our bag, boss.
Modern women after they've been brainwashed by woke Hollywood. Fed up with being mistreated, the Bad Hats plot to escape to the real world, where they think they'll be more appreciated. So they steal the Hatamaran, replacing it with an ordinary hat. Realizing he's been betrayed, Hudo decides to go after them.
But how are you going to get over there without your Hatamaran?
I'm gonna ride you, that's how.
Ride him? Are we finally gonna learn why he's called Raunchy Rabbit? Oh, no, that's much weirder. Meanwhile in town, Weenie is sick and won't leave his ring. So Nursey takes a shrinking potion that Colonel Poom had to be able to go inside the ring and help him.
Hooray, she'll cure Weenie!
Hey, she made it into the ring!
Me when my future daughter achieves her dream of becoming a professional boxer? Anyway, the Bad Hats lose control of the Hatamaran and it lands in town. Mark and the recovered Weenie are ready to pilot it home to the real world when Hudo shows up to stop them. However, they trick him into taking some of the shrinking potion. I'm sorry, but that doesn't hold a candle to this shrinking scene from a Captain America fan film I made when I was 10, starring my dad.
In order to defeat these superheroes, I have devised this special potion. And this potion, once I drink it, will make me huge and give me an advantage with these superheroes. Wow. I don't feel like I'm getting bigger yet, but I do feel a little different. Oh no, my voice seems to be getting higher. I'm not getting bigger, I'm shrinking!
Also, this is completely unrelated to Lidsville, but since this episode is pretty uneventful, here's another clip from that old video that really made me laugh.
Coming! Banana Man! You killed my father! No, I didn't! Well, yeah, but if you haven't defeated me, then my father wouldn't have killed himself.
So they accidentally spill the antidote on Hudo, returning him to his original size, so he can reclaim the Hatamaran. And he's about to attack when Raunchy as the Scooter interrupts him and the episode ends.
So wave bye-bye, everybody.
Hey, boy!
Episode 13, Oh Brother. Just an FYI, very little happened in this one, and I had almost no jokes for it, but just for the sake of completion, I'm gonna go through it. The Lids are throwing a party for little Ben, who is Hiram the Farmer Hat's talking pig.
Thanks, everyone. This is the best birthday party I've ever had.
Meanwhile, Hudo, realizing how much they care for the pig, decides to kidnap him and hold him for ransom. The Lids revolt by showing up to the fortress with a cannon, demanding the release of little Ben. Conveniently, Hudo is called to visit the Imperial Wizard at that very moment, but right after he leaves, his twin brother, Bruce Hudo, shows up.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Bruce Hudo, Horatio's twin brother. Hi.
But all the henchmen just believe it's Hudo acting strange. Bruce, upon learning about the situation with the Lids and little Ben, decides to let the pig go, as unlike his brother, he's a nice guy.
Peace, love. Let us all be brothers.
Golly! Look, Master! We really scared Hudo! He turned white!
The Lids, believing Hudo to have changed his ways, then sing a song about it.
gonna have peace, peace. We're gonna have peace, peace, peace. We're gonna have peace.
The songs in this, man, are so mid. I've only enjoyed like 2 so far. At the fortress, the real Hudo then returns, and the show then attempts what I think is supposed to be like a semi-serious interaction between the brothers.
Even when we were kids, you ruined all my plans, always. You still haven't learned, have you, Horatio? You still haven't learned that if you do one good deed, everybody will like you. I don't want to be liked. I want to be rich.
Anyway, Hudo then returns to town to steal the pig and his money back, but Bruce zaps down the Hatamaran and kills him.
What's happened? What's happened? I'm gonna crash!
Oh, that's so messy.
Episode 14, Hudo Who? Ooh. In the fortress, a magic 8-ball falls from the ceiling, hitting Hudo on the head and giving him amnesia.
Where am I? Well, who are all you strange little people?
The Victorian child after I hand him a Switch with Animal Crossing on it. The Bad Hats then take the opportunity to tell Hudo he's their British butler, which he believes.
Bring me a cup of plasma.
Oh, a cup of plasma. Is that with lemon or milk, sir?
Surprise me.
Twirly flies over Hudo waiting on them and goes to report it to the others.
I was flying over Hudo's house, and I saw Raunchy and the Bad Hats playing croquet. Croquet? Oh, come on, Twirly.
No way you, the propeller hat, are telling me, the genie, that the sentient hat henchmen of our green wizard nemesis are playing croquet. You sound crazy right now. Mark, Weenie, and some others go to the fortress to see for themselves.
How dare he speak with that outrageous British accent? It's an insult to the mother tongue.
Oh, shut up, you cheeky blighter. Go back to looking for Kate Middleton, alright? Please know that reference was very topical when I wrote it.
It's really weird.
Aw, Mark, little voice crack there?
It's really weird.
Don't worry, I think your peers will be too busy bullying you for being on Lidsville to notice that. They overhear the Bad Hats reveal that Hudo has amnesia and go to report it to the others.
He won't remember us, so he won't give us any more trouble.
Oh, that's good.
No, that's bad, because we still have Raunchy and the Bad Hats to worry about.
Oh, that's bad.
Mark and Weenie realize they can use Hudo's amnesia to steal the Hatamaran, so they get rid of the Bad Hats by seducing them away.
Hi, boys.
Hey, it's them good hat broads. Hey, you dames want to play croquet?
No, thank you. We're going on a picnic.
Oh, wait, we'll go with you.
Yeah, wait
for us.
Colonel Poon, Mark, and Weenie then show up pretending to be Hudo's brother and his safari crew.
Oh no, we're from your old regiment, Reggie. Ho, ho!
Mark always wants to dress up as some character, man. He loves it. They manage to steal the Hatamaran, but it hits Hudo on the head as it transforms and restores his memory.
What are you twerps doing here? What are you doing with my Hatamaran?
The Bad Hats then return, expecting to be waited on, which angers Hudo.
I'm gonna tear your felt, rip your seams, and bash your pip!
Oh yeah, harder. This video is too long. Episode 15, The Old Hat Home. Madam Ring-a-Ding shows up with an announcement.
I'm so excited. I can't control my nose.
Stephen King, while he was writing it, she explains she's holding a talent show for charity.
This sounds fantastic, Mrs. Ring-a-Ding. Who's gonna be in it?
Anyone who has talent.
So we know that I won't be. I'm really not in a good spot right now.
I can do my John Wayne impression.
Meanwhile, we learn that Hudo is missing performing magic live, and after learning about the talent show, decides to enter.
Well, now let's see. I'll start with the old disappearing light bulb trick. And I will build from there.
You know, what he should do is contact his twin brother Bruce, and that way the two of them can take turns being the same public persona so that nobody knows they're twins, even their magician rival Hugh Jackman. And then they do a bunch of tricks that are only possible with identical twins, and this drives Hugh Jackman, who doesn't know they're twins, crazy, because he can only pull off the trick with a look-alike that looks as much like him as the twins look like each other somehow. Like, they should have just cast another actor that looks a little bit like Hugh Jackman to reinforce the fact that he can't do the trick as well as the twins, but whatever. Then Hugh Jackman contacts like Nikola Tesla to make a cloning machine so he can do the trick too, but it means that a clone dies every night and he never knows if he's gonna be a Hugh Jackman that survives or a Hugh Jackman that dies. Then he finds out Hudo could just do the trick because he's twins, and Hugh Jackman's like, damn, but I already killed all those clones. And it's also the 1800s, and it's also a good movie. Anyway, Hudo shows up in town to perform not magic, but a song about how much women love him. And this one's alright.
Who makes women's hearts go twitter? Hudo. Who makes husbands all turn bitter? Hudo.
The Lids tell Hudo they don't want him in the show, but say he can still donate to the old hat's home. Enraged, he then magically turns them all elderly as revenge, as evidenced by the white hair they all sprout, even the ones that didn't have hair before. Taking advantage of their now senile state, he steals the charity money and returns to the fortress, where the Bad Hats complain to him about Lidsville's now elderly population.
We're building the new road to Pantsville, and them hats are too weak to pick up a shovel.
And that's not the worst. What about the tax money?
With them too old to work, they won't be able to pay their hat checks.
Oh look, it's the future that Elon Musk pretends he's afraid of, because the comfort of the rich will always rely on an abundant supply of the able-bodied poor to exploit.
The average age just starts drifting up, and then, basically civilization will die with a whimper in adult diapers.
Hudo gives in and agrees to de-age them. Back in town, we see everyone lamenting about now being old.
Hope I last till the old timers game. 16, 27, crawl.
Now, I'm sure there's some joke I can make here about a real-life football player that took too long to retire, but I just feel that an hour into this Lidsville retrospective, if I made a joke that implied I knew anything about a sport other than Quidditch, none of you would buy it. Hudo then shows up and begrudgingly restores their youth.
Live it up, live it up. There is nothing like being young and hot.
When Hudo said he would de-age them, I was so sure that he would overshoot it and turn them all into babies. That just seems like something this show would do, but apparently not. Hudo expects them to be grateful, but they just demand the charity money back and he leaves. Mark then devises a plan to get it back.
What's your plans?
Well, we're gonna need a lot of makeup and disguises.
Of course you will, Mark. When has one of your plans involved anything else? So they go to the fortress in disguises that make them appear still elderly, claiming Hudo's de-aging didn't work. They then demand he pay all their bills.
Bills? What are you talking about? What bills? Old hat pension, social hat security, hat-a-care.
To prove they're lying, Hudo gears up to give them a second de-aging zap, but it gets reflected back to him, turning him into a baby.
Hudo de-aged himself. You did it, Weenie. You saved us.
Okay, so I wasn't that far off. Then the episode ends with the talent show, where the series tries to be uncharacteristically educational by singing about historical figures who are known for their headwear, like Davy Crockett, Betsy Ross, and Abraham Lincoln.
Hats, famous hats. Abraham Lincoln in his top hat saw the slaves and said, better stop that.
But did they learn all this information from Mark, or did all these people have lid equivalents in the history of their realm? What about people that weren't known for wearing a hat, like Martin Luther King? I've never seen him wearing a hat. Okay, he wore a hat sometimes apparently, but do those few occasions fully justify his Lidsville counterpart taking the form of that style of hat? I'm wearing multiple hats. By doing so, what sort of existence have I sentenced my alternate self to? And most importantly, why would anybody ever want to bear my children? Episode 16, The Great Brain Robbery. Now this is the penultimate episode. There is less than an hour left of media set within the Lidsville universe for us to experience. Will anything change or develop involving this world and these characters? Something tells me no, but let's see. So Weenie successfully refurbishes a magic carpet for him and Mark to escape home on. and after some brief goodbyes, Winnie and Mark seem to actually escape. Okay, so they're actually going home. Is something about the status quo about to actually change in this show? Tired of the Lids' disobedience, Hudo has an idea and conjures something called the brainwash machine, giving him control of the demeanor of anyone who enters.
This will make him stupid, this will make him rotten, and this one will make him mad.
Hey, boss. This one says rinsing out undies.
Rinsing out undies? How did that get there?
Did one of the writers let his 4-year-old son write that joke? He plans to use this device to enslave the Lids. Back with Winnie and Mark, they sing a song about their friendship. And I'm happy to say that in the second to last episode, the show finally has a song that I actually found pretty catchy and could see also being on Pufnstuf.
Friends are a blessing you can count up on. Hermits really don't know what they're missing out on. Cause they ain't got, you know what?
Ain't got, I know what.
They never learn that happiness depends
On the simple fact
you gotta have friends.
Also, weird to see a musical number on a magic carpet decades before Aladdin. Hudo ponders how to lure the Lids into the machine and is given an idea from his talking book.
If I may make a suggestion.
You haven't had an idea since you were published.
Who is visually and audibly identical to Charlie, the talking book from HR Pufnstuf, so I assume it's the same character.
Waxy means my story called The Trojan Horse, age 37.
But how, I ask, did Charlie go from serving the noble Dr. Blinky to the sinister Horatio J. Hudo? I'd propose this is Charlie's evil twin, except for the fact that we already know about Charlie's evil twin. He worked for Witchy Poo, and he looked and sounded like this.
There's a spy in the castle! There's a spy in the castle!
So Charlie turned evil and started working for Hudo. That's the only explanation. God damn it. I was really rooting for the guy. Inspired by the story of the Pied Piper, Charlie suggests Hudo play music to lure the Lids into the brainwash machine.
All I need is a magic float.
Damn, I thought Freddy from HR Pufnstuf was about to make an appearance.
Listen to this, you coot.
He goes to town and begins to lure the Lids away.
Whee! It sure turns me on, Scooby-Doo!
Shaggy, after letting Scooby lick his balls in the back of the mystery machine, there's a person right there. I was making a joke about Scooby licking Shaggy's balls, and there's a person walking behind me. The things I do for you people. He's able to lead them all out of town except for Pierre Lesueur.
Come back! He is leading you to your doom!
Yeah, but what a way to go!
Gen Z making zero effort to curb our social media addiction. Mark and Weenie run into a storm and land back in town, so they didn't escape. It's the second to last episode, and nothing new is happening, where Pierre informs them what's happened to the others. Then Mr. Big and Raunchy mix up the knobs on the brainwash machine so that when Hudo finally shows up with them and takes them through, they emerge as violent rather than obedient.
Let the ruddy bloody blighter!
Though mad at first, Hudo then realizes he can use the angry Lids as soldiers.
We have a mess of fighting fools. I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
Sorry, I know that was cringe. It was for my 12-year-old self. God knows he could use some attention.
Why have you done this to me? Because I felt like it. Shut up.
We've got to unchain them fast.
I know. We've got to figure out a way to get him back through the brainwasher.
When your kid returns from their first semester of college now claiming that racism is real, Hudo decides he'll first use his army to overthrow the Imperial wizard, so he begins leading the Lids to his palace, but not before Mark and Weenie are able to retrieve the flute from his fortress, which they use to lead the Lids and Hudo back through the machine. This restores the Lids to normal, while making Hudo, Mr. Big, and Raunchy affectionate towards each other.
Oh, that looks like fun. Is there room on your dance cards for little Hoodaloo?
Why not, you adorable man? Join us.
If this aired today, that scene alone would have launched 1,000 YouTube videos lambasting Lidsville for being woke! I really hate the era of media discourse that we're living in. I'm so tired of it. So that was the second to last episode, and basically no new developments happened. You'd almost think that this show was intentionally written to have almost no sense of continuity so that it could be rebroadcast for years without its audience of toddlers realizing how few episodes there actually were. Alright, series finale, here we go. Episode 17, Mommy Hudo. I wonder what new character we might meet in this one. So get this. Hudo's mother shows up to the fortress while he's not there, explaining to the henchmen that she's concerned he's turning good like Bruce.
He sent me a Mother's Day bouquet. How's about that for openers? And another thing, he sent me a get well card, and I wasn't even sick.
Yeah, you don't look too good to me.
But Raunchy assures her that her son is still evil and...
Yeah, Mommy. Let me tell you about one time he was really rotten. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, this is a clip show episode. Now, to be honest, I kind of anticipated this because if you saw my Pufnstuf video, you'll know that the finale of that series was also a clip show. In fact, I remember it like it was yesterday.
I'm afraid I don't deny it. I'm just a dandelion. A fate I don't deserve.
Oh god, no, I remembered the wrong thing there. Now, I get that these sorts of episodes were made to save money in the era of low-budget network shows like this one, but there's still something so ridiculous to me about doing this with a show that only has 16 previous episodes to look back on. So they show a clip of the time Hudo turned Raunchy into a bike, but when Mommy Hudo still isn't sold, she goes to ask the Bad Hats what they think.
Hudo's mommy? Impossible! You're much too young.
I didn't give birth to him. I bought him on sale at a discount store.
They then tell her about the time Hudo made Mark walk the plank.
So you see, Mother, yours has got nothing to be ashamed of. He's not nice. He's a real creep.
You might say he's a weirdo. What the hell is he doing here? He doesn't belong here. Still unconvinced, Hudo's mother goes to the Good Hats, Mark, and Weenie, who she hopes will be unbiased about her son's villainy.
As for you, you good-for-nothing genie, you're supposed to be working for my Sonny. That's one of the reasons I'm here.
Now you leave Weenie alone, ma'am. He's with me now.
That's what a buddy of mine said to his ex after he realized he was asexual.
I don't understand. Why do you want to have a rotten son anyway?
That's the dumbest question I've ever heard. It's family tradition. Rottenness is handed down from generation to generation.
You know, I honestly wish that rottenness is what I inherited from my family, because all I got was this ancient relic possessed by the vengeful spirit of a Babylonian warlord. Mommy Hudo then sings a song that's not incredibly memorable, but the actress really gave it her all.
I've got those where did I go wrong with that rotten little boy, broken-hearted mommy blue.
Everyone then tells her about the time Hudo attacked them with his giant balloon mech, but it's not until Hudo shows up in the present and starts zapping that his mother is finally convinced of his evil.
Mommy Hudo, I'll meet you by the big top hat.
Oh, wonderful, darling. I'll cook you dim.
Oh. Now, I knew there was a reason why I left home.
And then this right here is how all of Lidsville ends.
Well, this is one Mother's Day we'll never forget. Let's start cleaning up, honey.
Kind of anticlimactic. So, having seen all of Lidsville, my final opinion of it is that even though this show is undeniably visually very creative, often very funny, and contains some incredibly talented performers, watching it after the Kroffts' original claim to fame, HR Pufnstuf, I can't help but think this feels like a slightly worse version of that. Many of the characters are, in my opinion, less iconic versions of the ones from that show, like how Mark, Weenie, Hudo, Raunchy, and the Bad Hats are clearly just this show's version of Jimmy, Freddy, Witchy Poo, Stupid Bat, and the Evil Trees. But then Lidsville really has no equivalent to the character of Pufnstuf himself. As in someone to be Mark's closest friend in Lidsville, that role is kind of shared by like 10 characters, so as a result, I don't really know as much about any of them as I felt I did about Pufnstuf. Also, as I have said, Pufnstuf had much more memorable songs. But you know, I'm aware that this show was intended for very small children and adults on drugs in the 70s, so I'm not, you know, mad about these critiques that I'm listing. I just am being honest about my experience watching it in 2024 as an adult on drugs. You think I watched this shit sober? Not fucking likely, brah! So I did it. I watched all 17 episodes of Lidsville. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was long enough to last your entire dishwashing session or whatever you put this on during. But now that this is over, I don't think I'll be needing these hats anymore, so hey pal, watch out! Ain't that wine?
How's that for a topper?